Welcome to Cascade Circuit Simplified. What I have here is circuit number 3. And looking at the circuit, here's your order of operations. So what we're showing here is A+, B+, C+. And at this point, we're going to switch our cascade to source 2, C-, B-, A-. Now the prerequisite of this is you need to know your graphic symbols and how to place them within the circuit before you want to go into any design of cascade circuits. So looking over here, our start button, I've supplied it with the main source. You can supply it with source 1. With the main source, there's no conflict. It's not going to have any issues. So looking at this, we have a push button, 3 two-way, normally closed, spring return. So when I open the flow path here, you can see the pilot signal shifting the 4 two-way, which will charge the blind end for cylinder A and have it extend. So when A extends, it gets on A1. So looking at A1 here, we have a cam activated 3 two-way, normally closed, spring return. Source 1 is what's available now, as shown here with your cascade valve. So we open the flow path, that'll pilot the 4 two-way, which will charge the blind end for B and have that extend. And when cylinder B extends, it gets on B1. We show B1 here, which is set up the same as A1. So we open the flow path here, pilot the 4 two-way for C, again charging the blind end, C extends. So when C extends, it gets on C1, which is down here on the bottom right. You can see source 1's used because of course that's still available. We're going to pilot our cascade valve from right to left, or shift it from right to left, and charge source 2. So if we look at source 2, it's plumbed directly to the pilot for C to get the 4 two-way to go back in the home position, which in turn will charge the rod end, retracting C. And when that happens, of course, we get on C0. So C0 here. Now if you notice that it's showing that it's held open. So it still is a 3 two-way, normally closed, spring return, but it's held open because of course C is sitting on that when the whole circuit is at rest. So we look at the flow path, and it's going to pilot the 4 two-way for B, charging the rod end, having B retract. And when that happens, that gets on B0. And we look at B0 over here. It's supplied by source 2. Again, the same as C0. It's held open. It's going to pilot the 4 two-way for A and have that shift, and of course charge the rod end for cylinder A. When A retracts, it gets on A0. And looking down the bottom here, you can see A0. We still have source 2 available. Again, the setup the same as B0 and C0. So we look at our flow path here, and we're directly piloting the cascade valve to shift it from left to right. And when we do that, we're back to source 1. So at this point in time, we're ready to start over. So everything is where it should be in home position. So comparing that over here on the board, here's our push button as shown there. So this is my main source, this lower portion on the manifold. And you can see I'm piloting for A. So when I push the button, of course, A extends. It gets on A1. So we look at A1, the red is identifying source 1 right across the manifold. B, of course, is source 2. So we look at A1, and right here, as you can see, we're supplied at source 1. We come out, we pilot for B to extend. That in turn gets on B1. We look at our source here, source 1, supplying that, and that'll come over to cause C to extend. And when that happens, it gets on C1. So when we look at C1, here's our supply from source 1. We come out, and we're over here piloting our cascade valve. And as soon as we do that, the cascade valve goes to source 2. So source 2 being the blue line, there's our manifold connection. So at this point in time, we have source 2. So we look over here for C, and it's plumbed directly to source 2, as indicated on the schematic. C will retract and gets on C0. Of course, C0 is supplied by source 2 as well. And you look at the line here, and it's going to pilot for B to shift the 4 two-way valve here and have B retract. And that, of course, gets on B0. We're supplying that with source 2 as well. And when we do that, we're going to pilot here for A to retract. And once we do that, of course, we're on A0, again supplied by source 2. And here's our line coming down to my cascade valve. We're right back to the beginning. we're ready to start over. We're at source 1, everything's back in the home position. So we'll plug this in, get the circuit to work. One more time, there's A, B, C, D, A, and we're ready to start over. Thank you.